Well, Dejounte Murray is trashing his old team, the Spurs, again. And I don't mean like Charles Barkley saying women there are fat.
You know, I think it's a great city. I think they got the best organization in the NBA. But they do have some big old women down there.
Chuck is joking. Dejounte is personal.
Man, bro, this is too much, bro. I'm like, what did they put me through, bro? I don't understand.
But this time, he has the perfect teammate to talk trash with. No one has hated on the Spurs more than Steven Jackson. He went hard on Tony Parker.
He is one of the most selfish players I've ever played with, and they ain't got nothing to do with what he's saying, this is what I'm saying.
But why are they so bitter about San Antonio? Do they actually have a point? The Spurs took a chance on Dejounte at the 29th pick in 2016. He fell so far in the draft because of his background. The first time Dejounte was arrested was 11 years old. He comes from a family of gang members, all the way up to his great-grandma. But luckily, Dejounte wanted to turn his life around, and Jamal Crawford, also from Seattle, mentored him. Dejounte dedicated his life to hoops. He played at Washington, but people were still unsure about his character. The Spurs drafted Dejounte, but they kept him at a distance.
He popped and talked to me. TP ain't talked to me. I'm like, damn, these is like me? Like, they like me or what? They don't like me? Like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying?
Someone should have told Dejounte. That happens to a lot of rookies on the Spurs. I mean, Manu Ginobili says Tim Duncan didn't talk to him his first year. But by Dejounte's second year, he became their starter. Why does he not see that the way they treated him and forcing him to play in the G League helped a lot? They forced him to be good at defense. That became his calling card. Youngest player ever to make All-NBA defense. Then a big contract. Then an All-Star. I know other guys play right away, but they learn bad habits. The Spurs set his career up. How does he not see that? But the real beef comes with Tony Parker. When Pop started Dejounte over Tony, it got ugly.
Pop brought us in the office. You know what I mean? He told Tony. Tony ain't like it. You feel me? Because if he liked it, he would have mentored me the way he should have. Right. He wouldn't have went to Charlotte. He would have stayed right there.
Oh, and Steven Jackson loved to hear that. His most hated teammate of all time was Tony Parker. Jack was drafted by Phoenix in 1997, but he got cut, bounced around overseas. His first game was in 2000 with the Nets before he landed in San Antonio in year 2. In 2003, he became a starter and key to winning the chip. Jack hit big shots in the playoffs, including several threes in the fourth quarter to clinch the 03 title. But then he got greedy. The Spurs offered him 3 years, $10 million, which he turned down for a better deal. That never came. He ended up with just 2 years, $2 million from the Hawks. To this day, he's pretty bitter about that.
I got a ring out of the situation and I bounced. You know what I'm saying? Because they tried to lowball me and give Ginobili the money. So I have all the respect for Pop for giving me that opportunity. But San Antonio was not a place for me. As you see, I left San Antonio and had better years.
Better years? Yes, he scored more points, but the Spurs went on to win 2 more championships while he was punching fans in the face in the Malice at the Palace. In fact, Tony Parker won 2007 Finals MVP. Yes, Steven Jackson was better than Tony in 03, but while Parker got exponentially better, Jack wasn't the same. I think he's bitter that Tony has become a Hall of Famer and he still looks at things like it was 2003. It's not. Parker is the better player, but not the better human being. When Pop got him, they had to teach Tony how to pass to not be selfish. In 2010, Tony had an affair with his ex-teammate's wife, Brent Barry. Not only did it wreck their 2 marriages, Pop said he was so mad he would have traded Tony Parker if he hadn't just signed a big contract. If that had happened, it would have wrecked the team for years, messed up the 2014 title. In 2017, when Kawhi was dealing with his injury, Tony told the media, oh, what he had was 100 times worse than Kawhi. But the way Steven Jackson's career ended was the ugliest part. The Spurs brought him back in 2011. He was quickly benched for rookie Kawhi Leonard. Next year, Jack had a horrible season. 37% from the field, 27% from 3. He says, oh, that's because Coach Pop is the problem. A shooter like Steven Jackson needs more minutes to heat up. So before the playoffs, Pop called Jack into his office and things got awkward. Pop told him to publicly give his spot in the rotation up by telling Manu and Danny Green they were better than him to build up their confidence.
He brought them in the office?
No, he brought me in there and told me he was finna bring them in there for me to say that. He knew what my response was going to be before he asked me that question. So when he told me that he was going to bring the team in and wanted me to admit that Danny Green and Ginobili was better than me in front of the whole team to help their confidence going into the playoffs, I looked at him. I said, Pop, you know I ain't going to say that. You might as well give me the rest of my money. I'm getting the f out of here. And I got up and walked out.
And that was the last time Steven Jackson had a real spot in the NBA. Dude is so bitter now. Every time anyone needs a negative comment about the Spurs, they call him up. But is that what Dejounte is turning into? Is he gonna be a bitter, retired player still angry about the Spurs? When they traded him, his first response was a tweet that said, I feel free and I feel wanted. Best season along with being happy on the way, I promise. Wonder what he's talking about. Then he got into it with a fan on IG. The way that system's set up, you'll be losing the next 15 years. Problem is bigger than basketball. He does sound like a bitter, ungrateful kid. But the worst part is that I respect Dejounte so much for turning his life around after he got arrested at 11. He wanted to get away from that gang life. And so he lived with his great-grandmother who was over 100 years old and helped her with like eating and bathing and going to the bathroom. He did all that to get to the league. And then he became an all-star in 2021. In fact, the most emotional part of this whole interview was him talking about his family's reaction to him making the All-Star game, especially because his sister was just tragically murdered.
So I walk in the door, I walk in my house, everybody crying, bro, like, but it's like tears of joy. Like, I think what really made it hit different is we lost my sister not too long from that. Our family was kind of in a, you know, like a head down, like sad, mad, like just a revenge mode. You feel what I'm saying? Like, 'cause she was killed, you know what I mean, by her boyfriend. So it's like brought something positive to the family again. It like reborn us, you know what I mean?
And that is the kind of guy that you want to root for and you want to see him win. But something's not right. Remember the summer when he like randomly disrespected Paolo Banchero? I mean, hey, that's a sick move right there, but why is he showing him up? Why is he so mad? I mean, is it a big deal for an all-star to show up a college player? No. He was mad because the hometown crowd was there to see Paolo and not to see him. Look, I'm not a psychologist, but it looks like Dejounte has some anger deep down. And that's what Draymond Green once talked about. Hurt people is what he said after he punched Jordan Poole in the face. But now, Draymond is talking about his future in Golden State. He hinted this is his last year. But what are the Warriors gonna do after Draymond Green? Check it out.